Yes. Thank you very much, President. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you to this important lecture where we have erudite scholars and practitioners to take us through on this wonderful topic of entrepreneurship as a panacea for economic migration in Nigeria. But first of all, let me introduce a member of the Board of Trustees. Here we have the dynamic president, Professor Bay Iwoye.
Yeah, I have joined.
President of the Association of Entrepreneurship Scholars. The president, you are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Let me also welcome Professor Bayero Muhammad, who is the vice president one. Professor Bayero, you are welcome. I can see him. Yeah, you are welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let me also welcome Professor Ellis Idimobi. Professor Ellis Idimobi is the vice president too. Is also here. Prof, you are welcome. Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Yeah, my name is Professor Tumola Obamui. I'm the Secretary General of the association. I'm also welcome. Let me also welcome myself. Finally, let me welcome Professor Saliu, who is the treasurer of the association. Now, having said that, let me take this opportunity to welcome our dynamic speaker for today. Let me start with the lead speaker. We will still have details of their profile at the time of lecture, but let me just introduce them briefly. We have Professor Peter Nwalu. That's the lead speaker. Nwalu. Sorry for the pronunciation. Please, Professor Asikwe Peter, Professor Engineer Asikwe Peter Nwalu, who is the acting vice chancellor of African University of Science and Technology, Abuja. Is already here. Prof, you are welcome. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome Professor Chinedu Oye Chube. Professor Chinedu, you are welcome. He's also here. I'm seeing him. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for honoring us with your presence. Let me also welcome Dr. Omoya Loki Usege. Is also here. Doc, let me welcome you and thank you for honoring us with your presence and your presentation. Without wasting much time, because time is money, let me allow for this session, Professor Bayero will be the chairman of the session. But let me call on the president, our dynamic president, to give a short speech so that we can continue quickly. The president, short speech.
Thank you, our Secretary General. And I know today we are expected to listen to these experts in entrepreneurship to talk to us. However, at times like this, it's ideal for the president to welcome the people on the platform. So it's my pleasure to welcome everyone on this platform for today's interaction, being driven by the Association of Entrepreneurship Scholars, particularly our guest speaker and the other discussants who will be properly introduced later. So as we know, and as we have seen, the economic horizon today in Nigeria, we do not need any foreigner to tell us that Nigeria's economy today is at a crossroad. And we have all learned that investing in entrepreneurship and by extension, medium, small and medium enterprises have been found to be one of the highest, to give one of the highest return on investment that a nation can make. And let me say that as academics, will in this emerging discipline of entrepreneurship, the members of entrepreneurship scholars, we are expected to work to make impact in this area. How we think about entrepreneurship, how to think about rescuing our economic landscape, how we conduct research or help to design ideas, and ultimately collaborate with real-time entrepreneurs and operators of small and medium enterprises and the new startups, including agencies, in order to shape Nigeria's economy. And by extension, shaping the discipline of entrepreneurship to reflect the opportunities and demands of the 21st century for the benefit of not just us, our teeming population of unemployed youths. So our prayer is that someday, somehow, our policymakers will find wisdom in engaging grassroots networks and experts to evolve a new entrepreneurial thinking towards a smarter ecosystem. So eventually, this will result in improved quality of life and greater morale and economic freedom, just for the improvement of livelihood for our people. So today, we welcome these experts. The man you are listening to today, the lead speaker, he's not just an expert, he's an engineer by profession. But as a DG of Nigeria's Economic Research Council of Nigeria, he did a lot, researched a lot across all parts of this country, found a lot of things, made a lot of recommendations. But in our usual style, all these documents, were dumped. And I'm praying that someday somebody will dust them up. And you'll see us at the road to economic recovery. But for today, let's listen to him and the other discussants to see what they have for us from their own various perspectives. So once more, I welcome all of you. The chairman of this session, my vice president, Professor Bayero. Let's sit back, and listen to them and others as we speak, as they speak. And eventually, everybody will have time to make contributions and ask questions to improve our programs and projects. So welcome to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the president. Yeah, before I hand over to the chairman of today's occasion, Professor Mohammed Bayero, let me quickly mention some people who will read the citation of the speakers. Dr. Tonia Okwakwele will read the citation of the lead speaker. Then Dr. Adesuyi will read the citation of Professor Shinedu. And lastly, for Dr. Omoya Loki Osege, Dr. Tonia will also read that citation. So let me therefore hand over to the chairman who will moderate the session, while Dr. Tonia will take the first citation of the lead speaker. Thank you very much. The chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. It's a pleasure to be here, and my regards to members of the executive of the association, and also our distinguished guests. Please, I would like to make some apologies. One, I'm here, where I am now, the connectivity is not very good. So anytime the connectivity cuts, please, either the secretary or the president takes over as a chairman. Also, my voice may be a bit harsh. It's because of the cold. So please bear with me. Having said that, I once again welcome our lead speaker and our panelists, Professor Azikwe Peter Onwalu, who is the president of African University of Science and Technology, Abuja, and also president of Nigerian Academy of Engineering. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting to enlighten us on this very interesting topic, entrepreneurship as a panacea for economic migration in Nigeria. Also, the other panelists, Professor Chinedu Onyezugbe of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, and Dr. Omanya Loki Othoge, who is from the Nile University. You're all welcome. So we will allow the main speaker to talk, and then when he finishes, the panelists will contribute, and then any other person who wants to also discuss, say something, will be given an opportunity. Meanwhile, before the lead speaker, I think as per arrangement, a brief presentation about his profile will be made by, I think, Dr. Antonia. The secretary, who is the person, please, doing the secretary general?
Dr. Kwakwele, Tonia Kwakwele.
Okay, yeah. Can you go ahead now?
Okay, yeah.
Anthony. Okay. Dr. Tonia. Okay, let's start doing the presentation. Then okay. Our lead speaker will talk. Dr. Tonia.
Tonia, please.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I hereby present the profile of Engineer Professor Azikiwe Peter Onwalu. Engineer Professor Azikiwe Peter Onwalu obtained his B in English degree.
Engineering.
B engineering degree in agricultural engineering with a first-class honor in 1982 from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He later obtained his master's MTech in engineering degree in the same field and discipline in 1986. He had a PhD degree from the Technical University of Nova Scotia, Halifax, in Canada in 1991. He joined the service of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, as a graduate assistant in 1983 and rose through the ranks to professorship in 1999. Over the years, he has worked in the areas of agricultural power and machinery, agro-processing machinery, biomass engineering, and processing of industrial raw materials and Science, Technology, and Innovation Policy. Engineer Zikiwe was the head Agricultural Engineering Department, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, from 2000 to 2003. He was the director, Engineering Infrastructure, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, Abuja, from 2003 to 2005. Professor Zikiwe was also the Director General and CEO of Raw Materials Research and Development Council and Development Council, RMRDC, Abuja, from 2005 to 2013. He was the coordinator, Science, Technology, and Innovation, STI, Thematic Group of Vision 2020 to 2020. He was also the chairman, Committee of Directors of Research of Institutes of Nigeria, CODRI, that's CODRI, from 2010 to 2013, and a member of National Research Fund, NRF, Committee of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, that's the third fund, from 2019 to 2022. He was at the African University of Science and Technology, OST, where he was the head Material Science and Engineering Program. He was a director of academic planning, center leader, Pan-African Materials Institution, PAMI, African Center of Excellence in Materials, Focal Point Partnership for Skills in Applied Sciences, Engineering, and Technology, PASET, and team leader, AUST PASET project. From research to markets, strengthening the innovation capacity of AUST Inspire. He is currently the acting president of the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja, a member, Board of Directors of African Technology Policy Studies, ATPS Network, Nairobi, and also chairman, Technical Board of Engineering Materials Development Institute, EMDI, Akure. Professor Wan has received many awards, including the Presidential Merit Award, Nigeria Science of Engineers, NSC, Individual Honor Award, Nigeria Society of Engineers, Abuja branch, Award of Excellence by the Nigeria Institute of Physics, Most Distinguished Agricultural Engineer of the Year by the Nigeria Institute of Agricultural Engineers. He is a fellow of 12 professional bodies, including Nigeria Institute of Agricultural Engineers, Polymer Institute of Nigeria, Material Science and Technology Science of Nigeria, Solar Engineer Society of Nigeria, Agricultural Society of Nigeria, Nigeria Institute of Management, Nigeria Academy of Science, and currently the 12th president, Nigeria Academy of Engineering from 2022 to 2024. Thank you.
Yeah, the chairman can now invite the lead speaker. The chairman still here?
Just go ahead and invite him. The chairman.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to invite the lead speaker, Professor, Engineer Professor Asikiwe Peter Onwalu, the president of Africa University, to present his paper. Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Professor Tonia, for, I thought we should have had the abridged version of the citation, but at the same, thank you for that. So we'll go straight to the presentation. I hope I'm enabled to share the screen. So I'll try to share the screen.
Okay.
Can somebody confirm that the screen is?
Yeah, we are seeing
okay.
it.
Okay.
Very clear.
Okay, let me try to move it. Sometimes it doesn't move. Is it moving?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so please, if it starts moving, somebody should let me know. Yeah, so the discussion we have this morning, my understanding, and to start so that the younger ones can also make input. So it's the presentation is titled Entrepreneurship as Panacea for Economic Migration in Nigeria. I've already been introduced. I'm not really sure that there is anything new in what we are going to discuss, but I think my understanding is that if a problem continues and persists, the best way to solve the problem would be to keep talking, to keep the conversation on, hoping that somewhere along the line a solution will be found. So basically, what I want to share with you this morning is the biggest problem we have in this country, especially with respect to the economy, and it revolves around economic migration, which we all know is now a major problem. With the situation that every young Nigerian is desiring to leave the country. And in fact, statistics shows that 1 in every 3 young Nigerian is actually processing his or her papers to leave the country for one, targeting one thing or the other. And those of us who are old, even though we are old, we seem to be stuck here. But you find that even those of us who are old are still desirous to leave. And this phenomenon we know has very adverse consequences for the future of this country and for the Nigeria of the future that we are all dreaming about. And there are many suggestions as to how we can solve this problem. But we believe, or I believe, that entrepreneurship development is one major factor that if we can fix as a nation, it can help to solve this problem. Not that people should not migrate, but migration should not be something that everybody is looking forward to. Rather, it should be such that people should be coming into Nigeria. And then, of course, you cannot stop migration because even in the US, people still leave US to go to somewhere else. But you find that it will be minimal. We know that efforts are already being made towards promoting and developing entrepreneurship in the country. But the summary of the discussion or the recommendations is that we should evolve more effective strategies towards developing entrepreneurship in the country. And I've made some suggestions which I believe are not completely new. We need to look at innovative entrepreneurship education. And we're going to see during the presentation that attempts have been made to include entrepreneurship education in our curriculum, but it doesn't seem to be having the effect that we require. We need to develop entrepreneurship culture among our youth. We need to create a conducive entrepreneurial environment. There should be incentives for corporate sponsors of entrepreneurship. And finally, one of the strategies being recommended is that we should have a national entrepreneurship development fund. I know that some funds are already in place, but it will not be out of place to say we should even have an entrepreneurship development bank. All these recommendations hopefully will solve the low pace of development in the sector. So that's basically what this I will share with you in the next couple of minutes. I've tried to keep the presentation as simple as possible, just to ensure that we don't get bogged down by the theories and all the others. Those ones we'll continue as scholars to do that. But we want to go through this presentation in simple terms. Hopefully, by the time my two other colleagues make their presentation and we have a lively discussion, we should be able to have implementable strategies that we can add to the discourse. It will be appreciated if those who are not speaking can mute themselves so that you don't interfere. Please mute yourself. I hope you are still hearing me.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. So, just as a background to our discussion today, I would like to start with what I call the paradox of the Nigerian economy. And this paradox is everywhere, even as we are coming out with the euphoria of having a new president. We all know that on Monday, everybody started seeing fuel queues everywhere. And then suddenly, a new price of petroleum products came out and the queues disappeared. And we are now trying to adjust with the new prices. So I started asking myself, I should have added this to this presentation, the issue of the paradox of the Nigerian economy. And the reason is that when you look at this country, you can name a number. If you find any in the index of development, you will have both positive and negative indices. And I will just mention one or two of them. The things going for Nigeria include the fact that we have the largest population. And in business, numbers make all the difference. So we have the largest population of countries in Africa. Currently, we are 7th in the world. In fact, I read that in the next couple of decades, we will even overtake some other countries. We might be even heading towards the population of India or China. But not just the population. Nigerians are very resourceful people, very resourceful human capital. I'm sure we all read about it. We all see it that all over the world, anywhere you have organizations or universities or innovation centers where people are doing things, if you look deeply, you'll find that there must be 1 or 2 Nigerians there. And there are statistics to show that among countries that are moving into the developed economies, Nigerians will usually rank as the highest in terms of education, those who have first degree, second degree, third degree. So we have very resourceful human capital. And there are many other good indices as shown by this slide. The photographs, of course, will show you the kind of development that has gone in major cities in the country. Having led the Raw Material Research and Development Council, I would like to also highlight this particular index, which is that Nigeria has at least 34 commercially exploitable minerals, 25 cash crops, and a host of other natural resources, water, energy resources, and other natural resources that when you look at all these, you will agree with me that Nigeria has no reason to be poor. If you search more indices, you will find more positive indices. Highest number of higher education institutions in Nigeria, in Africa, sorry. As of 2 weeks ago, I think we were just about 220 or so. But just in the last week of the former administration leaving the country, leaving governance, 39 more universities were licensed. So you see that in terms of numbers, we have the highest number of higher educational institutions and even research institutions in the country. And so on, it goes on and on. Look at the last one of the fastest growing ICT sectors in the world. So you can actually do a comprehensive journal paper on if you want to look at very good indices of the Nigerian economy. But why do I say there is a paradox? Even in the midst of all these good things happening on the Nigerian side, we seem to have had also the good and the bad together. We still have very high unemployment rates. As of 2021 is about 32%. I'm almost sure that it's higher than that now. Housing deficits, you can see the kind of houses that people live in. Even where I live in Abuja, that is supposed to be a good area, you will still see shanties not far away, 5 minutes from where you are. You will still see people who are maybe 10 to 20 people in one room and then looking for water. So there is housing deficit, water deficit, even energy deficit. As I'm giving this lecture now, the power just went off and I'm praying that my laptop will not go off before I finish. Of course, somebody may say, but they should put on the generator. And the answer is, you know, the cost of diesel. So even the university where I am now, we ration the number of hours we give students electricity. So you begin to ask yourself, why this paradox in a country that is blessed with all the things that I talked about earlier? We are still grappling, and look at our life expectancy, 52. Compare that with other countries that are above 60, even 80. There are more negative indices, high prevalence of poverty, infrastructure deficits we've already talked about. But I'm not one of those who like to talk about our problems. And that's why I started with a positive one. So what is responsible for this paradox? That's not part of our discussion today. But when we look at the entire country, what is the impact of this paradox? And I tried to capture the practical impact of this paradox of having the good side of things and at the same time, also the bad side of the things. I think in Street Balance, you hear people talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. You will find all of them with us here in this country. And it shouldn't be so. So when you look at the entire economy, you see that this paradox is actually translated into the development challenges that we have. Look at all the sectors. If you look at all the economic sectors, you will agree with me that even government has structured ministries and parastatals along these economic sectors. Now, pick up any of the economic sectors. Is it food? We are not food secure. Is it healthcare? Well, we are making progress, at least today. You will see snapshots of people doing even organ transplants here in Nigeria, kidney transplants, and high-tech health management. But we're still very far off. Look at our educational system. Unemployment, power, transport, communication. Even though we've made serious progress in communications, we know that the cost of internet continues to go high. Water, inadequate housing, we've all mentioned this. Then poor commerce and industry. So you find that all these, the paradox that I talked about has translated itself into the fact that all our economic sectors are operating below optimum. So that's the background to the problem we want to address today. So what is the impact on the economy, on the citizens of Nigeria? What are the challenges that these things have posed? Of course, all these things translate to poor standard of living. You see people tell you that Nigerians are very resilient. Resilience is a very good thing, but it has also led to situations where we are even ready to stay in inhuman conditions as human beings. So standard of living is poor, inflation is there, lack of opportunities, unemployment, youth restiveness, conflicts. Today, we hear all kinds of conflicts, either in the East, the North, the West. There's always one kind of conflict. People saying they want to leave Nigeria, see if leaving Nigeria will solve their problems. So insecurity, violent crimes, you hear people, maybe situations where you have a house help or security man or somebody assisting you. And before you know it, because he hears you have some dollar in the house, we've seen situations where people who are assisting elderly people end up killing them just because of their money. Dysfunctional infrastructure and so on. And then, because of all these problems, you see the one I highlighted below, and that's our subject for discussion today. This has led to excessive migration, which is fueled by the needs for better life elsewhere. And that's what the economic challenge that we want to address today. And just to put things in perspective, it will be good to interrogate why this migration. Not that people don't migrate. During when Professor Tonia was reading my citation, you saw that I left Nigeria in 1987. I had my up to master's in 1986 as Nsukka, but there was need for me because I had done bachelor's degree, master's in Nigeria. There was that desire for me to go and see what is going on in developed economies. At that time, Nigeria was still better. And so migration at that point was for me to acquire more skills. But today, the migration has become excessive. And what is fueling this? Especially when we are looking at economic migration. Of course, you know, there are different types of migration, but today we are focusing on economic migration. That is migration that is fueled by the needs for better economic fortunes. And I've narrowed down all the factors that fuel this to two. One is what I call the pull factor, of course, with respect to the recipient country where people are migrating to. And then the second one would be the push factor. Let us look at the pull factor model or theory. This model is saying that in countries where things are working, where there are more job opportunities, where there are business opportunities, better standard of living, the government and people have developed themselves to situations where in their country you may have the best education system, better health facilities, and functional infrastructure. Of course, we all know, I'm sure almost everybody here must have traveled abroad. You know that issues of electricity, water are just taken for granted. And then even better social infrastructure. where people respect rule of law. You are not afraid that somebody will kill you. Of course, there will always be social vices here and there. They have their own social vices quite all right. But because of the fact that all these factors are positive, this model or theory says that because of this kind of situation, this pulls, the pull factor is there. In other words, it now attracts people from the less developed economies that where these conditions are not what it should be. So that's one explanation for economic migration, because this is like what we do in engineering and physics. Once there is a differential, if it is heat, for example, once one side is cooler, you will see that air or wind, air or even mass will move from the hotter region to the lower region. I mean, to the region that is not as hot as the other. So it's natural. Nature does not allow vacuum. So it pulls people. The fact that these developed countries have a better environment, it provides that pull. The second one is the push factor model. In those countries where things are not working, such as Nigeria and other developing countries, where you have high unemployment, high insecurity, poor standard of living, opposite of what you have in the other case, what happens? This environment pushes people to leave the country. To do what? Remember, there are two factors now. The environment where they are is pushing them. Poor education, poor health, poor infrastructure is pushing people to look for greener pastures. And then the pull is on the other side. Things are better there and it's pulling them. So it's like a double-edged sword and pushing people to leave their country. And it's natural. Nobody likes to suffer. So the question is, what are the consequences of this? Now, don't make a mistake about it. The way the world economy is structured, you cannot avoid migration, because there are also the positive side of migration. Families may decide to reunite. Maybe you have half of your family in UK, half in, so you might decide to join your family. You may also decide to just change environment. You may, so there are positive environments for positive issues about migration. But it's when it becomes excessive that it now creates a problem, especially for those countries from where people are living. And in fact, even for where people are going to. We know that you started hearing about UK saying they will no longer allow health worker migration into their country. You hear America say this, you hear Canada is beginning to checkmate Nigerians from coming and so on. It's because it's impacting negatively on the country where people are living, and it's also impacting negatively on the countries where people are heading to. So looking at our environment and our economic environment, what are the adverse consequences? I think I've mentioned some of the positive ones. The adverse ones include loss of talents, and of course, what we call brain drain. What that means is that because these countries, recipient countries that receive people who migrate, because they have better environments, and you will find that the pay is better there. If it's education, the education system is better. So all those coming from different countries where things are not working must compete to be able to enter. What that means is that it is the talented ones in these 4 countries and the ones that are brilliant that are able to, of course, in addition to those who have the funds, they're able to migrate. So you are actually losing talents and people that will eventually be driving the economy. So that now leads to further underdevelopment of the country, because the skilled manpower you require to continue to run your country is being depleted on a continuous basis. You have social problems that come out of this. because of this drive and push for people to leave, you now begin to have issues of trafficking in persons. In other words, people want to live by all means. And so dubious people now take advantage of this and even begin to promise people, oh, I can take you to Europe where you can work and earn money. Unknown to people, they are being trafficked. We've also seen situations where they put people in inhuman and dangerous conditions to cross them from North Africa to Europe. We've seen situations where people die in the high sea trying to go through unauthorized means to enter Europe. Then when you get there, people are not aware that issues of discrimination and suffering in foreign lands are also there. In Nigeria here, we are always quarreling among ourselves, the North against the South, South against East, East against West. When you get there, you begin to realize that you are a Black man and there is this discrimination against Blacks. So these things are there. Increase in crime among migrants. Some of the migrants that are not really qualified to go to these countries, they don't have resources, when they get there, they're stranded. And what it leads to is the only way out for them is to hope that when they go into crimes such as selling drugs, doing one thing or the other, they may make more money and then they enter into problems. And then more importantly, even within our economy, you will now notice that many young people, and I interact a lot with young people being a teacher and also because of the kind of work I do. Almost every young person I know, somehow their ambition in life is declining because all they are thinking about now is, Prof, please help me, I need to leave this country. They are not even thinking about ambitions that people can actually work hard and make it even in this country. So that is even the more dangerous one. They are not even ready to look for any economic ventures just because they think the only solution is for them to leave. There are more adverse consequences. The country loses tax revenue because those who are supposed to be, some of them that are supposed to be working and remitting tax are not there. I don't know if you've seen figures, but there are figures you can find in Google of the outrageous amount of money that these foreign countries are charging in terms of visa fees. These are all some of the things that we are losing as a country. And of course, all these are all in foreign exchange. Of course, these things also lead to more importation of goods and then pressure on the little foreign exchange we have. So these are the adverse consequences. I'm mentioning all this because sometimes some people will say, well, leave people, let them go. It doesn't affect the economy, but it actually affects the economy when migration, economic migration is excessive. So what are this discussion we have this morning is, we've seen that people are living in drones. I think it's now a very popular thing to talk about Japa. Once you talk to anybody, you say, I will do what? I think in those days, we were talking of Andrew checking out. Now it is Japa. Everybody wants to leave, including the old, the young, everybody. Now, how do we solve this problem? Because it's a problem. At the opening slide, I said that this has reached epidemic proportions. How do we solve the problem? Of course, government is trying to solve the problem. The simplest way to solve the problem, of course, is to fix the country. And I'm one of those who believe and pray that the new government will try to fix at least some parts of the issues. Let us have functional infrastructure. Let us have an economy that is functioning so that people can have jobs. Let us have things working. But among the solutions is what we are proposing in this discussion this morning, and that is that developing entrepreneurship can help to solve the problem. So before we highlight those areas, how entrepreneurship can help, we need to remind ourselves of what entrepreneurship is. I won't go into this, the concept of entrepreneurship, but we all know. I'm happy that this is a meeting of teachers of entrepreneurship. So we all know the concept of entrepreneurship. But I just want to point out that the issue of entrepreneurship did not start today. I happen to come from the eastern part of the country. And those from southeastern part of this country, you are all aware that they have a very functional traditional entrepreneurship system, which is currently dying. I remember that when I got admission to go to UNN, University of Nigeria Nsukka, that was in 1982, for my undergraduate program. All my uncles that I visited to ask for school fees because my dad was late, all of them, not all of them, none was in the other direction. All of them just told me, look, the only thing I can do for you is to talk to a friend in Lagos so you can go and join him and learn how he's doing his trading. The same thing happens with skills. The apprenticeship scheme is there, traditional. And it's not only in the Southeast, every part of this country. You go to the North and see what happens in the Kano area where you have businesses. People learn under their masters. You go to the West where there are economic activities, there is also a traditional apprenticeship scheme where people learn entrepreneurship without even going to school. Unfortunately, when we describe these things, we say they are informal sector, but they have sustained our economy in those days. But in modern times, because things are changing, in modern Nigeria, entrepreneurship is also moving, because today you have things happening with respect to online businesses. People are now doing a lot of things that wouldn't have happened before we had these digital systems. I'm sure we all know about the emerging innovation tech hubs in different parts of the country. So in terms of modern Nigeria, entrepreneurship is moving because people are beginning to learn what has happened in the global economy with respect to global entrepreneurship. We have these global companies, global giants such as Amazon, Meta, of course, all the various things we have on the internet, fintech technologies, and so on. We've seen how digital systems are driving entrepreneurship so that people see opportunities, which is actually what entrepreneurship is all about. You see, you are able to see opportunities, jump into those opportunities and begin to make money genuinely, not doing a fraud. That is why we believe that beyond, in addition to whatever government is doing, if we can entrench the concept of entrepreneurship in all aspects of the economy, you'll find that even when people are working, when they're teaching, when they're in a factory, when they're doing business, even those on the streets, if they incorporate entrepreneurship, you will see that they will become better people. Reason being that there is this nexus among entrepreneurship, innovation, and skills. Once people acquire innovation, once people have good skills, you will find that they will, and then of course they have entrepreneurship skills, they will be able to come up with new businesses. Even when they're already in business or when they are working in an environment, they will be able to inject innovation into what they're doing and therefore make things work. And when those businesses are growing, they're creating more jobs and creating more goods and services, and the economy will continue to boom. So that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Being able to identify opportunities, driving those opportunities to create businesses in a manner that has not been done before. And that's what it's all about. What has happened in Nigeria is that that skill has not been there. And so we are just there. Just like what happened to us in innovation. We are consumers of innovation. Almost everybody in this country uses WhatsApp, for example, which is from Meta. But how many of us have thought about creating equivalents of WhatsApp to deal with our own problems within the country and so on. But just to let you know that the reason for all this is that the reason why we have not been able to get to where we should be is that there are factors that affect entrepreneurship. These factors, if they are not properly managed, you will not be able to make progress. Number one is that for you to succeed, you must have entrepreneurial skills. Paper qualifications are not enough. Unfortunately, our educational system emphasizes more on our certificates. We acquire hard skills, and in most cases, soft skills are almost zero. You can have a graduate with a very good certificate, and you ask him to make a speech, and it's a problem. You take him to somewhere and say, okay, negotiate. He's not able, he doesn't have negotiation skills. These are some of the skills, ability to overcome obstacles. Most times people tell you it's money that they need, and you give them the money, 1 year, 2 years down the road, they are back to square one. It's because they don't have the entrepreneurial skills, which tells us that you can actually get a business running even if you don't have money. In other words, you should be able to look for the money, look for the skill that you require, look for the technology, look for all the factors of production that you require to be able to be an entrepreneur. Another factor is the availability of infrastructural facilities. In our environment, we have challenges with institutional facilities, engineering infrastructure, technology infrastructure, and in fact, even social infrastructure. I have a number of friends, and in fact, even myself, I had the experience on the issue of social infrastructure. For you to be a good entrepreneur, of course, you have to work with people. If you are creating a new business, you must work with people. You can't be everywhere at the same time. But hand over your business to a Nigerian. If you are not there, the business ends up dying while the person who is managing it for you ends up becoming richer than the business itself. So these are some of the factors that we need to look at. Access to and affordability of technology. Today, we are all battling with access to technology. In some environments, access to the internet, for example, is taken for granted. But here, think about the amount of money you spend on data. And you'll agree with me that access to technology is not easy. It has not been easy with anybody. And other technology that we need. Government policies, policy instability. I just gave an example when we started with what is happening in the fuel subsidy issue. So policy somersaults. Today we are talking about this. Tomorrow suddenly something will change. Imagine this thing that happened this week. This new pump price of petrol. Of course, some people will become billionaires. Those who have stockpiled the petrol. But some people's businesses are currently being. I know that this morning, the first challenge I had was when I was told there was no fuel in my car, no fuel in my wife's car. And I said, with what I'm seeing, people should try to go with public transport for now. Call Bolt, call Uber, let's go out without our cars today. So these policy somersaults can actually create problems for businesses. Economic environment, the return on investment when you make an investment, the stability of the economic environment, including our currency. I'm happy the current administration is talking about harmonizing the currency exchange rates and so on. Access to affordable finance. We have finance in Nigeria, but is it affordable? When you go to take loan to do a business, and at the end of the day, the actual rates that you are taking will be like 25 to 30% by the time they add all the, so it's not affordable, even though it may be. So these are all the factors that affect either positively or negatively on the ability of entrepreneurs to start and succeed. I would like to spend a little time on entrepreneurship education in Nigeria. And the reason being that it's only when people have the knowledge about entrepreneurship that they can practice it. in everything they're doing. And I've already mentioned, when you look at the landscape, the ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Nigeria, we have a lot happening in the informal sector. People who have not gone to school, the so-called market women, mechanics, people doing one thing or the other to set up their own businesses. You find that some of these people start small, but as they move on, they become serious entrepreneurs as they expand their businesses. But over the years, government has also thought about having programs that can help to develop entrepreneurship. And one of those things was to educate Nigerians on entrepreneurship. And so the regulators, such as the National Universities Commission and the one for their equivalent in polytechnics, they've introduced, first of all, they started with introducing entrepreneurship as general studies. In our own time as undergraduates, we never did it as a course, but today, no matter the program you are doing, part of your general studies is that you must study entrepreneurship. I've also noticed that in some universities and the higher institutions, you even take degree programs now in entrepreneurship. And of course, every university has been encouraged to have an entrepreneurship development center. Beyond what is happening in our higher institutions, you also have short courses that many training organizations are promoting, both physical and virtual. So you can actually get a lot of education on entrepreneurship through some of these virtual and physical trainings, some of them even free. But my thinking is that we need to take a complete review in order to overhaul the entire entrepreneurship education. How does that lead to businesses? How does that lead to leadership qualities and so on? Management, finance, practical hands-on education. It shouldn't be such that entrepreneurship education becomes just like what we used to do. That is, people memorize theories, memorize concepts, and then you ask them questions in the exam, they pour it out, but they don't have hands-on education. We should have a situation where for any course that people are doing, entrepreneurship should be embedded in the curriculum so that it doesn't necessarily have to be a separate course on entrepreneurship. If I'm teaching refrigeration and air conditioning, for example, I should not just stop at teaching students the technology or the engineering of refrigeration and air conditioning. They should also know the entrepreneurial side of it, how they can run businesses in that area of developing cooling systems, either for offices or for homes. This is part of what I think is missing. So we need to overhaul our entrepreneurship education in this country. In terms of practice, we've done a lot as a country, and I just highlighted some of them. I'm sure my colleagues and during the discussion, we can also highlight more. Today, we have innovation hubs, tech hubs, pitching competitions, entrepreneurship boot camps. Some foundations, such as Tony Elumelu Foundation, they run continuous entrepreneurship development skills. Even some state governments. I know that Lagos state government has one. My state in Anambra has just started innovation, promoting innovation hubs, and a number of other state governments. Even private companies such as Shell have, Shell has a Shell Life Wire. There is another program called Startup Nigeria Incubation. The NDE, National Directorate of Employment, has different programs. Banks, especially Bank of Industry, they're even collaborating with Lagos Business School on a very big entrepreneurship development program. Even the central bank has their own program on entrepreneurship development. If you visit any commercial bank, check their website, you will see that almost all of them have one program or the other aimed at developing entrepreneurship. And of recent, many Nigerian universities are now, beyond having the entrepreneurship development centers, they're also establishing what you call innovation hubs. In my university here, just a few years ago, we started what we call AUST Inspire, and it's an innovation and entrepreneurship arm of the university, where we do boot camps, teaching people how to start businesses, how to do startups, how to create environment for commercializing their findings and starting business. So in terms of practice, the ecosystem is really very vibrant in Nigeria, but I think we need to do more to be able to get this to permeate every aspect of the Nigerian economy. So the message of my presentation is that entrepreneurship development can actually solve the economic migration problem, because if we create the environment where there will be opportunities through entrepreneurship, then a large percentage of these people, these young people who are aspiring to go out, we see the opportunities within our economy, and there will be no need for them. Nobody really likes to leave this country. We should be able to create opportunities for new businesses, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about. If we create thousands of businesses in every area of the economy, you will see that there will be opportunities for young entrepreneurs, and there will be no need for them to start traveling. Creating new job opportunities, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Creating opportunities for skills, especially digital skills. That's where we are going now with the fourth industrial revolution. There are many digital skills that are on now: additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and so on. Name them, they're all there. And young people should be able to latch on to these things and develop their skills. Entrepreneurship creates opportunities for startups, spin-offs, and so on. And when these things are done on a large scale, state by state, and in different sectors, you find that we create the jobs that our people need. And you find that naturally, all these people aspiring to travel can actually find the economic fortunes within the country. And that pull or push factor, the push factor that we discussed earlier, will actually be minimized. Of course, the pull factor will still be there. But as our economy now grows, you find that even we can become naturally at par with the developed economy. So as I conclude the presentation, I asked myself, so what are the strategies for advancing entrepreneurship? And a lot of things have been done. Some of us who are older, we've tried in our own little ways to drive this, but I think there are still more to be done, and I've just articulated a few of them. We must emphasize skills. Today, we have a national skills development scheme, but we need to drive that further so that people can have skills. It's not enough to have certificates, but you should have skills that can help you develop your own businesses. And even when you are working for somebody, you have skills that can help you. We must embed innovative entrepreneurship education into our individual curriculum, not just the overall curriculum, but every subject must have embedded in its curriculum entrepreneurship. We must find ways to develop and instill entrepreneurship culture among our youths. We must create a conducive entrepreneurial environment so that people can actually sleep and wake up with entrepreneurship in their mind. We should have incentives for corporate sponsors of entrepreneurship, angel investors. We notice that many corporate organizations are now sponsoring training people on entrepreneurship, encouraging people to do competitions, to do pitching. But there should be a way to encourage them, give them incentives, either in form of tax rebates or in terms of incentives that can help them to do more. And I've also proposed that we should have a national entrepreneurship development fund or bank. I know that some aspects of this are already in place, but we can do better than what we are doing now. These are some of the strategies I think we can consider in this meeting. I'm sure people will have other suggestions which can help. So finally, as I conclude, this is just a repetition of the first slide I shared with you. Within these few minutes of discussion, I've tried to bring up the fact that the economic migration that we have in this country, it has reached epidemic proportions. A situation where every young man or woman is thinking of how to leave the country is not good for the future of the country. And how do we solve this? There are many ways to solve them, but in this discussion, I'm proposing that entrepreneurship development should be taken as a major way of solving this problem. And although efforts are currently being made to develop entrepreneurship in different sectors, including our educational systems, a number of things can be done. And I've just made some suggestions. We should have innovative entrepreneurship education. In other words, we should continuously review the current concept of our entrepreneurship education. We should develop more systems, more programs for developing entrepreneurship among our youth. We should create a conducive entrepreneurial environment where everybody should be thinking about how to create, how to make businesses to be more innovative, how to make businesses to be more profitable, even under the difficult environment we have. We must encourage corporate sponsors of entrepreneurship, and we must also find a way to look for the funding through dedicated funding that will be directed at promoting entrepreneurship. And of course, if all these things are done and our infrastructure still remains what it is, we are not going anywhere. So we also need to look at infrastructure, power, electricity, the petrol, diesel, our roads, other infrastructure, water, all these things, we must fix them. And once we fix them, it will be easier for those who have now acquired the entrepreneurship skills to be able to function and practice what they have learned. That's the message I want to leave with you. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Prof. Professor Peter Walu, the President of African University of Science and Technology. That's a wonderful presentation. Want to appreciate you for your time, for the presentation, for the great work you put into it. So, Prof, we thank you very much. We may have to take the, if the Prof still have the time, we may have to take the
I don't know if it's my network or his network. Okay. I can't hear.
Oh, sorry, Prof. Yes, I'm just saying that if Prof is still available, can we take the other presentations, or we don't know the time, or Prof wants us to have some comments now, depending on your time, sir?
I still have Prof. 1 hour. I still have 1 hour, so I think they can make their presentations.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can I say so? I say so?
Let's quickly go to.
Okay,
the president. Yes.
Okay, can I suggest that the because of time factor, because of many other people, the discussants will take 10 minutes. Is that okay? So that people will be able to react, so that in the next 40 minutes, people will be away from here. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
President, that's fine. I think that's a good, so by 1 o'clock we should be done.
Everybody
so they can
should
go
have
on with their
gone.
presentation.
Because the networks too are behaving badly. And so, Mr. Secretary, did you hear me? Hello? Secretary? Secretary?
Maybe
Secretary?
his network.
Nobody's hearing. The network is bad.
But
Secretary?
I'm hearing you.
Even the technologist is here too. Anthony.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, even you that is talking from London is clearer than the people in Nigeria. So what I'm saying, tell the secretary,
Yeah.
the discussants, we are requesting the lead speaker to give us another 40 minutes. So the discussants will take 10 minutes each. After discussion, the 15 minutes will be questions and answers. Then you conclude.
Thank you very much, the President.
Sorry,
Yes.
I'm going away. If you say I have meeting with the Vice Chancellor, I will leave by 1:45.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Yes, let's quickly have the discussants, one of the discussant professor, Professor Chinedu Oyensugbe. Dr. Kwakwele will give a brief, 2 minutes brief presentation of the profile of Professor Chinedu. Dr. Kwakwele, just 2 minutes brief presentation.
Hello,
Thank you.
can I suggest something? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, we already have the profile posted. So can't we go to the discussion right away?
Okay, to save time.
Yes, to save time.
Okay, maybe just 1 minute presentation of the profile.
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 minute. Just
1 minute.
Brief summary.
Dr. Kwakwele. Dr. Kwakwele, 1 minute presentation of the profile. Okay. Hello? Dr. Kwakwele? Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
I'm back. Professor Uzezube Chinedu Uzochukwu is a professor of management in the Department of Business Administration at the Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State, Nigeria.
No, she's taking too much time again.
He's currently the Deputy Director of Unizik Business School of the same university. He holds a PhD degree in business administration, in business management, and 2 master's degree, MBA and MSc in the same field. He's the past 5 he has consistently for the past 5 years maintained the position of being among the best 100 scholars in Nnamdi Azikiwe University.
We can stop it at that.
We can stop it at. All right, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that brief presentation. Yeah, Professor Chinedu, let us have your presentation. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
Okay, and I
Good
thank
afternoon.
Prof, sorry, you have 10 minutes for presentation.
I will be very brief.
Okay, thank you.
Very brief, because the lead presenter has really done justice to the
thank you.
topic of today. I totally agree with him on the positive and the negative indices of the Nigerian economy, which he described as why the paradox of the economy, why the paradox. And also agree with him on the Iwaboy model, which we call Iwaboy here in the Southeast Nigeria, which is the traditional apprenticeship, which many researchers have proven that traditional apprenticeship is the best form of entrepreneurship. Luckily, here in the business school of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, we just carried out a research in the last 2 years. I think it's one of the most expensive researches on Iwaboy model. We did the research, we studied all the markets in the Southeast. So I totally agree with him now. I agree with him on that. But I want to emphasize that when we really want to talk about entrepreneurship, we should talk about the youth entrepreneurship. Why? Why the youth? Because that constitutes the chunk portion of the population of the Nigerian population. And when you talk about the migration, economic migrants, greater percentage of you use embark on that. Why? Because they are looking for their future. They are looking for, I have to be blunt this time, they are looking for their future. Look at the economic realities we have in Nigeria. Look at the economic variables coupled with insecurity. So the youth are looking for bright future. That's why, and the statistics have also shown that 54% of the youth are unemployed. So they want to harness, instead of government or the private individuals or donors and agencies, making the environment favorable for the youth. See what is happening today. Thank God for the current administration. I think I was opportune to listen to his address, and he said emphatically that his government is meant for the women, mainly meant for the women and the youth. But that is not enough. We must take it a step further. We must move from the era of ordinary empowerment, where we just empower people. Most state government, they only empower the members of their political party. That is not enough. That is not enough. We need to restructure entrepreneurship scheme. We need to restructure it, especially the youth entrepreneurship, which, let me just give a brief vision of what I mean by youth entrepreneurship. Process whereby creative and innovative ideas are transformed into enterprise initiated and managed by the young people with the primary purpose of addressing the socio-economic challenges. What are these socio-economic challenges? I think Prof, the lead presenter, has enumerated that. Those socio-economic challenges. I don't need to go into that again. These are the 10s this youth entrepreneurship we address. Youth by nature, they are adventurous. And they always like to find uncommon ways to do common things. That is the energy they have. And when you talk about this youth entrepreneurship, we're talking, but let's look at it from three, I won't go into detail, from three perspectives: the innovative, the imitative, and the Fabian and Drone. When you talk about innovative, it's like new creation. New creation. When you talk about the imitative, it's like copying already the existing creativity. The Fabian and Drone, you talk about the inherited enterprise. So our country, to mitigate this economic migration, we need to embark on massive youth involvement and entrepreneurship benefits. Massive. And this will generate employment and it will help to reduce this economic migration, which today we call the Japa syndrome. Japa, everyone wants to Japa. Even the bankers, even those with good jobs, I have some of my students, I know that most of them are big in the banking industry and the telecommunication industry. But some of them they coming to take that, they want to go to Canada. They want to travel to UK. Why? Even with their good jobs. So it's a problem. So, and this will reduce crime. This will reduce crime. So let me quickly just mention some, because the way we see entrepreneurship, the way some of the governments at both levels see entrepreneurship programs, that is why we are not making headway. This program, youth entrepreneurship, should be structured in a manner that I think Prof mentioned it. When these vocational skills are learned, it must be immediately followed by entrepreneurship skills. What does this entrepreneurship help those that have acquired these skills? It will make the skills to be productive. Because it's not enough to acquire skills. We need to make it productive. We need to teach them the rudiments of entrepreneurship, ranging from production to marketing skills to business plan skills and others. A lot of things are involved. So we need to make these vocational skills productive. Then government should encourage innovative competition. They should take it away from normal business contracts, normal government contracts, where we are work contracts and people will come and just do turn the whole thing upside down and say we have empowered the youth. At the end of the day, those monies will be free money. Because when you say you are empowering the youth, what are the strategies you have on ground? Do you do follow-up? What about the mentorship? What about the monitoring? So these are the things. That's why this association, we have a lot of jobs to do. We have a lot of jobs to do. We need sensitization so that people doing this program should be experts and not any politician or anybody on the street will come and say he's organizing entrepreneurship program. So we need to work towards that and collaborate with relevant government agencies. I think Prof mentioned something on digital entrepreneurship. That is the intent now. Where you train the youth, you can train the youth on digital technologies to enable them run their businesses. I think, fortunately, I'm the chairman of One You Two Skills in Anambra State. There's a program going on in Anambra State now by Soludo administration, where we target to empower one youth with 2 skills. And I'm running the entrepreneurship program. And it's yielding fruits. People are already commending it because it's no more business as usual. We are other society governments will come and just give money. You won't see the impact. Even after the program, we are going to do the impact analysis and know how much this program has impacted on the youth. So let me quickly conclude. When youth are given the necessary entrepreneurship training, they explore opportunities in their immediate rural communities instead of migrating to urban areas or other countries in search of jobs they are not sure of. So we need to develop this youth entrepreneurship, which will go a long way in creating employment, giving young people the opportunity to develop their enterprising skill, empowering the youth to be job creators and not job seekers. The new government must act now by making youth entrepreneurship skill priority before the Japa syndrome leads to a total collapse of the youth entrepreneurs and shortage of skill manpower in Nigeria. Thank you. Because of want of time, I will stop here. Thank you for listening.
Very much, Prof. That's a wonderful and thought-provoking lecture. We appreciate you, and we appreciate what you are doing for 1U2 skill. And I've just read that this morning in the paper, and I said I'm going to get in touch with the presenter. Fortunately, one of my colleagues also participating in that program. So thank you very much. Yes, let us get in touch with Dr. Omoya to present his paper. Okwakwele, 1 minute profile, please. 1 minute. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I just unmuted. Sorry. Dr. Moya Lucky Osage has a PhD in accounting and finance from University of Jos in 2018. He has several master's degrees from several universities and several fields of studies, but he had his BSc in accounting at Bayero University, Kano in 1995. He is a member of various professional bodies, and his work history is very impressive, highly impressive. He has worked in several schools, and then he's currently the head of Department of Accounting from the 9 University since the year 2022. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Kwakwele. Yes, let's get Dr. Omoya Lucky Osage to give us the menu. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Prof. Yes, Dr. Moya.
Are you sure you didn't mute him?
No. Dr. Moya. Dr. Lucky. Yeah, he's there. I think. Yes, I think he has gone. He has been on since I think he's gone. Yeah, I think we lost him just now. Maybe he wants to rejoin. Yeah, while we're waiting for, let's take comments. Let's take comments while we're waiting for Dr. Moya. As soon as he joins us, so let's take comments on the Professor Engineer Walu's paper and that of Professor Shinedu. Comments, question, while we are waiting for Dr. Moya.
Dr. Lucky is coming down, and he's coming to use. He will be here in 1 minute.
Okay.
His network is not doing well, so you want to yes. But meanwhile, you can ask questions to the lead presenter and the discussant. By the way, the discussant, very short and vibrant.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Abaslim, Dr. Angela Abaslim, yes, you're welcome.
Yes,
your
sir.
comments, question, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I'm at the hospital for checkup, so I'm half in and half out. And my question, I want to appreciate all the presenters, especially our first presenter. He did wonderfully well. Thank you very much, sir. However, I want to ask, in equipping people with entrepreneurial skills, and they're trying to use entrepreneurship as solution to our economic problems in Nigeria, I want to ask the place, because if we notice in the United States, we see that network marketing is commanding a lot of money in the industry in the United States. I want to ask, in Nigeria especially, what is the place of network marketing as a tool for entrepreneurial capacity for our numerous youths. What is the place of network marketing as a financial, as something that we can use to solve unemployment in Nigeria? That is my question to the prof. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to the, come on.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hello,
that
Lucky is
question
here.
that Prof can take it.
Sorry, Lucky is here because I'm taking my laptop to the meeting. Let him talk for 2 minutes. Come here. Okay, he's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Start talking.
Okay, good afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, participants. Sorry, please, the network in my office is very bad. So I have to use Prof network here. Sorry, Prof computer here. So my name is Dr. Lucky Omonia. I'm presently with Nile University of Nigeria as a lecturer. Even though I was there as an entrepreneur, I also have my own firm in Abuja. So I will just give a brief, discussion on what has been going on. Unfortunately, I don't mean the discussion from the beginning because I have a very poor network. So, but I was able to get a few things from Professor Peter Onwulu and the second discussant, Professor Chinedu, and OU. So I will only share a brief experience of what I did in the past as an entrepreneurial educator with the Central Bank of Nigeria. I was appointed as a program director of the CBN Entrepreneurial Development Center for the North Central Zone. Then they had about 6 other centers across the country. So I managed that of the North Central Zone between 2013 and 2018. And we tried our best to improve the culture of entrepreneurship in Nigeria. The emphasis then was on how to change the mindsets of our youth on this issue, from having a plan B. For those of them who went to the universities and polytechnics and graduated, in case there are no jobs over there, they were able to do something on their own, and that is starting their own business. That is starting their own business and caring for themselves. So we had about 4 basic areas at the ADC. One of them is what we're discussing today, that is entrepreneurial education. The second aspect of it is on emphasis on internship. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, please.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The second thing we... Hello? Okay. The second thing we did here was on internship and industrial attachments, because we realized that it's not just giving them the classroom training that matters. They still need to be attached to some established entrepreneurs so that they can learn 1 or 2 things there, at least acquire some practical skill in production and marketing, how to customers and how to sustain them. And when they come back, the last aspect of it is to link them to fund. The CBN then had some intervention and is still ongoing. What we call the Small and Medium Scale Entrepreneurship Development Fund. And the purpose of the fund is to provide graduates of these centers with startup finance so that they can start their own venture. But those of them who are already established or who have done something on their own, the fund is a bit higher so that they can also start 1 or 2 things on their own. However, after this training, that ended around 2018. The CBN also on their own created another bank, the National Microfinance Bank with NIPOS, and they started giving this startup fund to some of the graduates. But it was hijacked by some politicians. And as I can tell you right now, the purpose of that particular intervention has been defeated because politics came into it, and every politician in the state assembly or the national assembly want to give something to people who did not actually pass through the training process. And that has been one of the issues we are having in this country. The major issue for me is not about some of the things we discussed today. I agree, we don't have an enabling environment to propel entrepreneurship among the youth in this country. But we can do something about this. And one of the areas is this aspect of what? Funds. There's no way we can provide our youth with the education, like what we're doing right now in the university, the polytechnic, the vocational centers, and what the other government agencies such as the SMADAN are doing right now. We train them without linkage to funds. There's no way they can start their own venture. And that's one of the areas we should emphasize, that this money that's there in the development banks like the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Bank of Industry, the Nezim Bank, even Bank of Agriculture, and the rest should be provided to the real entrepreneurs, youth who are able to do something on their own. And it should not be hijacked by the political class who just want to give some stipends to people from their own constituency. That stipend is like a national cake. They will not pay back the money. And that's what is going on right now. So much money has been given out by the Central Bank of Nigeria through the various intervention. If you ask the CBN now, the rate of repayments, I'm not too sure, it's up to 10%. And I'm sure the CBN administration will not be willing to give out funds if they have not been paid back. So that process has been abused over time. So we need to rejig it again and to come back to the drawing board and see how we can tackle that particular area, which has to do with what? Funding of startups and also of any other businesses that needs expansion. Once it's not there, whatever thing we are doing here, whatever effort we are putting into developing those children to start their own venture, it will not actually work until we have enough funds to give them to start up their own businesses. There are many Nigerians there who have very good ventures, but without funds, there's nothing they can do in this aspect. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Owoya. We appreciate that. We only hope that whenever these policies are being taken, the political factors will also be taken into consideration. Yeah, thank you. So let's go back to Professor. Yeah, let's go back to our list speaker.
I'm going for the meeting. I'm going to, they're waiting for me.
Yeah, thank you. You will round up with the next 5 minutes too. Thank you very much. So let's go back to our list speaker. We want to appreciate him. So yes, the comments, but the question by Dr. Angela. Let's see.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah. The list speaker wants to comment on that, Professor Walu. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Dr. Angela talked about the role of the place of network marketing as a solution in what we're discussing. I think my response is very quick, and it's one of the things that are working. The only thing is network marketing needs to be regulated. The reason being that as it's usual in Nigeria, sometimes we overdo things. And so you find that sometimes people now feel that network marketing is fraud, you know, like when we had the Ponzi schemes and so on. But really, network marketing has created jobs, created opportunities for people. I have a personal example. somebody in my church that I know that every day after service in the morning, this lady will always run behind my wife, "Mommy, I don't have food for my children." And mommy will give her maybe 1,000 naira. Then after a while, she started this network marketing. And I told my wife, I said, for me, if what she's selling is good for us or anybody, we can buy, patronize. And today, that lady has even won a car, won awards. She has even traveled abroad because of that network marketing. And she's very comfortable now. She's actually selling products. I'm not talking about those who do Ponzi schemes. But in this case, is selling a product. So for me, the answer to the question is that network marketing has a major role and is one of the digital marketing skills that are available. People need to be trained on how this works so that it's not our usual Nigerian thing of thinking you can get something out of nothing. If you are doing network marketing on a product, maybe a supplement or any product, it's actually valued that you are taking the product to the consumer. So you're actually adding value, especially if what you are marketing is a regulated thing, there is no fraud. What somebody like me will not subscribe to is the kind of network marketing where they tell you contribute, once you put 200 naira, you will get 300, or that to me is like gambling. So I agree with you, Dr. Angela, this is a good way, and many people, it's actually making waves in the digital marketing space, but people need to be trained to understand how it works. It's an avenue that can create jobs, especially knowing that you don't even need to rent a space. It's actually something you do with your phone and then with your mouth. Once you have a sweet tongue and you're able to convince people, you're able to do your digital postings and convince people. I think I see network marketing as the way to go in future, where you don't necessarily have to have a shop, but everything you have is digitized and people can have access to it. As long as it's regulated and we are not going into all those the things that sound like magic. But if I'm paying for a product, it's a good area. I know a number of people who have become very wealthy because they are marketing products through all these network marketing schemes. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Prof.
you, Prof.
I love
Thank you
that
very much.
response.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can we take that comments? That comments. Yeah, there's no comments. Let me take this opportunity to thank Professor Awalu, the president of African, that is the Vice Chancellor, with what we are used to in Nigeria, and the Vice Chancellor of the African University of Science and Technology, for the time he has
Hello.
Is it my network? I don't seem, I can't hear anybody.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Can
Hello.
you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you, ma. Can I have a comment?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, look, briefly, Dr. Kende Ajaumi.
I'm Olusola Kayode. I'm former representative of Nigeria to UNEDO. Hello. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I was privileged to have listened to Dr. Adishina, who was part of the guest lecturers at the just concluded pre-inauguration lectures. And I was expecting to hear either the lead speaker or one of the, either the lead speaker or one of the discussants also talk about the area of agriculture and agriculture as a business. And Dr. Adeshina did emphasize very strongly that in order to tackle our ever-increasing threat of hunger, we need to address the aspect of food security. And I think part of where we can engage the youth and train them as entrepreneurs to go into agriculture is also a very desirable area, because Professor Wanlu did refer to the fact that food insecurity was also one of the challenges we're having in the landscape. I just thought we should not lose sight of developing our youth in agriculture, and part of the funding we're advocating for would very drastically increase food security and also help us to bridge the ever-widening gap of food insecurity. I just thought I want to make that comment for our purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our erudite scholar, Olusola. I'll get the name correctly. Thank
yes,
you.
You're correct. Much. That is
okay.
correct.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kwakwele, your question briefly, because we are running up next 3 minutes.
Yes, briefly. I'd like to thank Professor Owanto for his lectures. It was highly encompassing. He gave us the problems, he gave us solutions, he gave us recommendations. But I just carried out a research on why the university students, despite the entrepreneurship being inculcated or inbuilt into their curriculum since 2006, they still set up businesses, and the businesses still close up within the first 5 years. One thing I found out was that some set up, and they told me that the purchasing power of their customers, the purchasing power is so low that they set this up, and then they find out that the customers are unable to purchase in large quantity from their products. And then apart from that, the inputs, they gave me an example because they provide the water, the electricity, everything for themselves. And at the end of the day, when they were carrying out their analysis before the business startup, they realized that diesel was selling for like 300 naira. It went from 300 to 800, from 800 to 1,200 naira. And they just couldn't cope. Prof, sir, please, how can we solve this problem?
Dr. Kwakwele. Yes. Dr. Kendi Ojaomi wants to ask questions so that they will take the questions together. Dr. Kendi Ojaomi, your question, please.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Go ahead.
Thank you for hosting me or being part of you today. I just got to know about the group last week from Prince Musa on another platform anyway. My contribution, my input is this. I love, Prof, you've said so much and you've really touched a lot of things which really has to do with the problems and whatever we're having in this country. Another area I'm looking at it from is this. Even some of us that are teaching entrepreneurship, a host of us don't even have the experience, personal experience. Most of the things we teach are theoretical. They're just theory. You know, if we were to go outside there to find out, to really experience it, it's going to be a different ballgame. How do we navigate this? How do we solve this problem? You know, I'm from OAU. I teach my students this. You know, I'm actually from in this psychology department, but I teach my students entrepreneurship. and let them know, look, for you to survive in Nigeria or the world today, you need to have skill to be able to navigate the world. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. So let's allow Professor Walu, the president of African University of Science, to do justice to the question.
Okay. Okay. I can. There are three questions. One is from Kayode, and I agree with you completely. If you notice, I didn't go into the sectoral areas. That's why I didn't emphasize agribusiness. But of course, we know that if you are to look at the different sectors where you can practice entrepreneurship in Nigeria, agribusiness or agri-sector has the lion's share. That's where majority of Nigerians are. So that space is really very, very wide, from production to agro-processing. And if the environment is done very well, that's where youths can actually go in. We've seen, practically seen situations where initially the youths or the young ones don't want to go into agriculture. But when the environment is right, if, for example, they can use digital skills as entry points into agriculture, you see that they're interested. In other words, they can be the ones to manage the process and add value to what farmers are doing. And we've had a number of situations. There are two projects I'm involved in which can illustrate this. One of them is where we got a little money from TED Fund to develop apps for helping farmers. And the technology in this is that you can actually run the app even if you don't have internet. That's what the computer scientists did on that project. And you see that just access to information alone improves the productivity of very small scale farmers, especially in the area of inputs, in the area of marketing and so on. And these are areas that educated young people can go into without dirtying their hands, so to speak. So there are a lot of opportunities in the agri sector, and I agree with you completely. The second one is, I think that's from Professor Tonia, the issue of infrastructure. It's not only diesel, it's not only water, and that can also be tied to what Kehinde talked about. People teaching entrepreneurship from the theoretical point of view. I used to teach entrepreneurship in my early days as a young lecturer at Nsukka. And at that time, I had no practical experience in business or in all this. And I was only teaching what I read. But having been involved in a number of things now, I teach entrepreneurship differently. I burned my fingers just to support what you're saying. I burned my fingers in trying to set up businesses. I've tried water factory. I've done processing, agro-processing. I still have a factory for processing agricultural products. At some point, I had to close them down and lock up my factory. In my own particular example, is a combination of what you talked about, Tonia, in the area of infrastructure and the inputs you need to run the business. And then the other area of trust. You employ people, and for example, water is produced, a certain quantity of water leaves the factory every day, but the money that comes in is less than what has gone out, and so on. So many complications. These are the practical aspects of entrepreneurship, which people need to know. Even running a university, to me, I've taken, when I started as the acting vice chancellor of this university, I told my staff that I'm going to run this as an entrepreneurial university. Today, diesel is, like you mentioned, 800 and 700. And so each time we buy diesel, we used to spend like 1 million. Now it is way above. And so how do you keep giving students 24/7 electricity supply when the cost of your diesel suddenly jumped up. Look at the fleet of vehicles we have in the university. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had an arrangement with one of the filling stations where we deposit like 250,000, 500,000, and then all the cars go there to fill their tanks. When they run out of fuel, they go back. This week, the logistics people just informed me that the money we deposited has finished. And I told them, wait. Why am I telling them wait? Now, the cost of petrol has jumped from what it was to what it is today. And this was not budgeted for. So I think I touched on this in my presentation, the issue of inconsistent and unstable government policy. This is one of the things that government needs to look into. When I was doing my PhD in Canada, I was in Canada for 5 years. And within these 5 years, rent was almost static. What I paid when I started was what I was paying after 5 years. And most of the things, inflation was not that bad. Nobody was worrying about electricity, water, gas, internet connection. Well, that time there was no internet, but telephones. We were not worrying about these things because they were there. As long as you pay, you get the service. Because people are providing that as a service. Unfortunately, where these things are available. So I agree with you. We need to address infrastructure, which is actually part of what government needs to do. If the infrastructure problem is addressed, security, electricity, roads, rail, these young people that are trying to move away will not. I interact with them a lot. Many of them come, Prof, write for me, write recommendation, give me money. Many of them are not really interested in leaving the country, but it is the difficulty, the difficult economic environment that is actually driving them. And I don't blame them. If you are in an environment where your capacity is held down by your environment, then you look for somewhere else where you can. And I've seen situations where in the last 1 year, for example, a number of young people that have supported to leave the country, they were here, apparently we said they are roaming the streets. Sometimes we even accuse them that they don't know anything. 6 months later, they're in UK or in US. They are making waves, which means it's not that they don't have the leadership skill or what the entrepreneurship skill to make them to function, but the environment has held them down. So I agree with you. We need to find a way through government to make sure that the environment is conducive for entrepreneurship to thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that response, Professor.
Okay. I can see Madam President is back.
Thank you very much.
Am I allowed to ask my questions?
It looks like the moderator's network is not strong.
That's Nigeria now.
Part of the infrastructure deficit.
Yes. Okay. Are others hearing me? Let me ask my
African University of Science and Technology. We want to thank you, Wesley, for the wonderful presentation. And we also want to thank the other speakers, Professor Chinedu Oyeshugbe. We also want to thank Dr. Umoy. We want to thank all the presenters.
Mr. Secretary, Secretary, I've been raising my hand to ask one question, just one brief for our benefit. Professor Bamuyi.
Two words to
Professor
offer before we close finally.
Professor Bamuyi.
The president, whether you have one or two.
No, before I close, I want to ask question.
Close finally. We want to close now. Okay.
No, I want to ask one question.
Okay.
To the lead speaker, maybe others may still have to input. You know, we have been consistently talking about the same thing, towards inconsistency of government and all that. And part of it is a lack of continuity in programs. You know, that's how we ended up in poverty alleviation. We have over 20 different types of programs, but none is working, instead of building on what another person has introduced. So for this entrepreneurship issue, I'm asking the lead speaker that, having worked directly with the government, which we have not, is there any way, because they are treating even poverty alleviation, even entrepreneurship development, even every issue in Nigeria is political. And when you have programs for entrepreneurship, and even the first discussant was talking about it, youth entrepreneurship and how to help them. And you hear that government say they have spent billions trying to empower youth. I don't know the meaning of that, trying to empower this. And in the final analysis, you hand it over to permanent secretaries, politicians to handle. And when another administration comes, he dismantles everything that has been established. Is there any way to approach the government to treat this issue of whether entrepreneurship and all the ancillary matters that are associated with it, to leave it out of political issues so that we can make a headway to address the issue of ecosystem and the promotion of entrepreneurship and empowering the youth? Is there any way we can approach the government for it?
Okay, thank you, Prof. The point you made is quite correct. Unfortunately, like the second speaker talked about, that we need to emphasize youth in entrepreneurship, in entrepreneurship development programs. Unfortunately, the politicians also see it that it's a political tool when they keep talking about youth empowerment and so on. Unfortunately, they start that and then everything become politicized. I agree with you. If we are to make any headway, entrepreneurship development program should not be seen as another political thing. Otherwise, we just hear, I think an attempt was made by the past government by actually institutionalizing some of these things, by creating Ministry of Humanitarian, Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management. They've actually gotten a bill through the National Assembly, and they just the last week of the administration, they created an agency for some of the social intervention programs. But you can see the way it is done, again, it looks like it's a political thing. Otherwise, hoping that the new administration will not scrap that, and it will go the way of all the programs we had, like D-Free, Operation this, Operation that. So I agree with you, we need to institutionalize these things so that these programs can outlive governments. But coming back to your question, I think what I feel is that now that we have a new government, it actually throws up the opportunity of our making inputs into what they're trying to do. So my suggestion would be that even your association, that is the Association of Entrepreneurship Scholars, you can actually articulate programs and send to the new government, and they may pick 1 or 2 or 3 things from your suggestions. Nobody knows it all. If we think that they know it, we'll be deceiving ourselves. So my suggestion would be, one of the takeaways from this gathering is that we can identify things and send to them. They are receiving inputs from people, and we can do this as a body, hoping that somebody will pick it up. Otherwise, the way government works is somebody pushes something. We can still, even after submitting, we can also wait for the new National Assembly. My own experience heading parastatal is that most of the things that worked were actually channeled as constituency projects by members of the National Assembly. Of course, the danger in that is that when it finally goes through the budget, the same legislator that pushed it will come and tell you that it is his project. And so again, it becomes political, and the implementation may go bad. But unfortunately, that's how politics works. And unfortunately, it is government that has our resources, and we must continue to push until something happens. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. So, a moderator.
Yes, my president.
I think we are.
Have we come to an end?
Yes, somebody is raising up hand here. I don't know. The person is using Techno LG6N. Please identify yourself and have your 1 minute. Techno LG6N. If you are hearing us, identify yourself and okay. Last it's not responding. So once again, let's thank our professor, Professor Walu, the first Chancellor, African University of Science and Technology. Also, let's thank the other presenter, Professor Shinedu, and also Dr. Owoya Loki, for the wonderful presentations. We want to thank you, and we want to assume that whenever we call on you, next time you'll be there for us to share your word of experience with us. So we want to thank you. Also, especially let me thank my president for his support for the association.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Hello?
We have
Let
heard.
me also thank members of the team, the vice president 1 and 2. And also let me thank Dr. Kwakwele, who has been there for us presenting the profile of the presenters. Once again, I thank every one of you and wish you a successful day and weekend.
Madam Techno, the Techno, does she still want to say something? Techno, unmute yourself.
With that, we have come to the end of the lecture.
I think she still wants to say something. The Techno. Unmute her, let her say something.
Hello?
The Techno.
No, I've called.
Let us
hello?
Talk.
Hello, ma.
Talk.
I really appreciate
yes, I'm not sure it's there with us. The
Okay.
Who is speaking?
Your contribution, how can we bring up entrepreneurship? But this has opened my head very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please, can you identify yourself?
But I hope we continue having this type of blessing.
Yeah.
I think the next efforts we are trying to make is to have a physical seminar or conference, because we have been doing so much online. If we can have a physical conference, it's more relaxing and more coordinated.
Yes. Because this is even breaking.
It's always breaking. But all of you have done well. And we say that all of us have been on the same page in this matter, trying to see what we can do to help our country. And you see the experience of the lead speaker, his experience in research on these entrepreneurship matters. It was very rich, and you know, even the discussant, the first one, he has a lot in his head, but we didn't have enough time. So next time we'll give more time to them to talk. And we are pleading with Professor Onwalu, the Vice Chancellor, the President of African University of Technology, that we will need his support. We will need his support a lot to carry, to progress this our association. Let me use this opportunity to say that the Association of Entrepreneurship Scholars, we have earlier got approval to collaborate with Sweden, and of late they invited us to NUC because they try to put entrepreneurship in every university. In fact, I was made a chairman of a subcommittee that is called Committee of Practice. And members were from different universities, NUC that is doing it. And we did our bit on that as well. So everybody is trying to make some efforts, but politicians do not allow it to work. But we will keep trying. You don't give up. We keep talking until we can talk no more. So I'm encouraging everybody. We're encouraging everybody that we don't give up. Let's see what we can do to contribute to our country. If we don't get benefit of it, our children will, and posterity will judge all of us. So I thank everybody. Anthony Ugu, the tech man, he was talking from London. He connected us from London. Like I said before, we were hearing him more clearly than we were hearing ourselves. The Nigerian sickness. I thank the Secretary General, a man that is never tired. He's always there to coordinate, to inspire. He has a very solid and sound emotional intelligence, because nothing pushes him, and he's never discouraged. He has so much confidence in this, and he has been doing his best. So, Secretary General, thank you very much too. The lead discussant, the lead presenter, the discussant, and all the members, the vice presidents, first vice president and second vice president. Please, get other members too. Everybody should extend your tentacles to invite others. So if we are many, let's make a position paper to even if National Assembly, because we want to, this youth exodus, we want to see if we can contribute in stopping them. Thank you, everybody. And thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, ma.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Professor Bamuyi, good afternoon, Prof.
Anthony.
Hello? Yes, Prof.
How is London?
How are you, sir?
We are fine.
Oh, Tony, wonderful Tony.
I was
Thank you
with
very
Tony
much, Tony.
Tony, thank you very much.
Been there.
You will have the screenshot of some
I
of the
think
speakers and the sessions now.
Are we going to get?
I will drop it on WhatsApp, and everybody can. It can be shared to the members.
Okay.
You can post it on the group.
Okay.
Well, now it's on Professor Bamuyi's WhatsApp. You can see the clips there now.
Okay. Tony, you can send it to my WhatsApp too.
I will share it to you also, Prof. Let me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You want yummy?
Okay, so I've shared with you also, Prof. You see all the clips now, and the video will come out later in the day today.